back. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Go home, take the money and run. Go home, take the money and run.
And welcome back to the show. This is Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today we're speaking with JimDoyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group Financial Services. And you've got quite a few credentials behind your name, Jim. CFP, CLU, TEP, CDFA, CIWM, and most importantly, almost 27 years of experience in this profession as a financial consultant. We're very glad to have you here on the show today to share some of that experience with us. So before the break, we were talking about how financial and lifestyle security doesn't just happen by itself. It actually requires purposeful planning. And it's a proven fact that it pays not to do it alone. People can actually benefit from working with the right financial planner to help address any blind spots that they might have in their financial picture. So here we find ourselves heading into a time of year where budgets and cash flow planning can actually be a little harder to manage, and they can actually add a lot of stress over the holidays. So, Jim, we're asking if you can share a few ideas on how we might want to change that pattern this year. No better time than starting them right now.
It's not that uncommon for many people that we work with. December shopping exuberance can be followed by anxious January credit card statement openings. Often, it's as much as our financial habits as investment performance that determines our financial successes.
Well, I'm thinking that I'm probably like a lot of our listeners, and maybe this is the year to consider not starting the year in the red, but to actually do this. I know I'm going to have to make a couple of changes in spending habits. So, Jim, can you give us a few tips that might be easy to do for this Christmas season?
Ones that I think that can help are to make a list of whom you might like to give gifts to and maybe what you might like to give to each person, and try to stick to your list. It's real easy to be tempted by fantastic prices and the budget's blown in an instant. Start with a specific list of whom you're buying for. Might help keep random things out of your basket.
So I happen to be one of those shoppers that would be out in the mall, and I would tend to pick up some things for myself along the way when I'm actually shopping for others. So I think if I could shop months ahead and get my holiday shopping done early, I might be able to stay a little more focused. So let's just say I'm not that list person. I have a rough idea of what I'm going to buy for everybody else. Is there anything else that I could consider doing?
Well, creating a budget and setting spending limits can be really helpful. It's also helpful if you're prone to spontaneous shopping. If you don't have a budget, you're not alone. Fully 2/3 of Canadians say that they don't have one.
Oh my! So okay, so far we've talked about making that list. Of course, checking it twice. Then we spoke about creating a budget, setting some spending limits. But what if those are just simply too much work for someone? Is there anything else we can do?
Well, yes, there is. The final option might be to consider paying for your gifts with cash only. No debit cards, no charge cards. When you're out of cash, you stop shopping. This can be an awesome impulse controller.
I actually love that idea, Jim. It could be a great way to enjoy the holidays, but not spend the rest of the year having to pay for it.
Using credit cards can be quite tempting, especially if the cards give cash back. But be careful that the purchase decision is the right one for you. It can be easy to spend a little more than you planned.
Of course, the holidays are just simply an exhilarating time for everyone, and it's kind of hard not to get caught up in all that excitement. Do you have any other tips?
Well, reminding yourself occasionally what your financial priorities are may help. Now, this next suggestion can work for some couples, but it can also be a problem for them, especially if they have differing views on money. And I'm talking about making buying decisions as a couple.
Jim, we've actually had this conversation a number of times. I know you've mentioned it in the show, that money can be a little bit of a thorny issue for couples to talk about. There are very few subjects as intimidating as money. And almost everyone has an opinion about it, but how many know with any confidence or degree of certainty what to actually do about it?
Learning to compromise can take work. Talk about what your budget is. Sometimes couples have different incomes or holiday spending expectations. Sometimes finding an agreement on the things that you can agree on can be a good place to start. Share some of your decision-making choices. Things like deciding how much you might like to spend for one of your relatives could be a good starting point.
It all makes sense to me, but this is where you come in. There is help available. We're talking about financial spending tips for the holidays, and if you have any questions about this, I know the guy to answer those questions. His name is Jim Doyle. Give him a call, 604-682-5431.
Thanks, Joanne. I'd like to suggest be open about your cash flow each of you has, with the idea that you're trying to establish a reasonable budget both of you can live with and agree to stick with during the holidays. Couples that take the time to review finances together stand a much better chance of helping to accomplish many of their financial goals, not just some of them.
It's not just our own money issues that might be a concern. Let's talk a little bit about what to do when you actually see someone that you love and they happen to be struggling with money. How do you help a family member who is bad with money? And we all know someone in our family.
Which parent hasn't made the mistake in the past of being too eager to try and help friends or family who are bad with money? Sometimes they're just looking to vent. They're looking for a sympathetic ear. They might not even be looking for advice. And if you're not careful, you could end up, unfortunately, damaging the relationship with them.
Sometimes the only behavior you can change is actually your own.
How often have you seen or heard from someone who is always out of money when the rent is due? How about the family member who buys a big-ticket item when other urgent bills are unpaid? Or the family member who's always asking for a loan?
Well, I'm hoping you actually have a few tips to help navigate this delicate subject, just in time for the holidays, of course.
I was at the checkout of a buildings material store the other day, and a young family was ahead of me. The young son was constantly grabbing the chocolate bars where it's at his eye level. And as soon as the parent took the candy bar away, the child grabbed another one with their free hand. It can be hard to say no, but the more often you say no, the less persistent they become.
Many people struggle to find that financial bliss, and they look for that quick fix of something like a bank loan. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, whether it's a bank loan or a loan from a family member, okay, how does the saying go? Neither a lender nor a borrower be. It can be tempting to give or lend money, but chances are that family would be fine on their own if they only made better financial decisions with the money that they do have. One awkward problem we see from time to time is where there's confusion about whether the loan is accepted as a gift and never repaid.
It sounds like helping sometimes might be just like a temporary fix and not a good solution if the cause has anything to do with poor money management skills. And it could come down to values, too.
I'm pretty comfortable talking about money, but many families aren't.
Well, this is your job, Jim.
Oh, okay. It's not uncommon for me to see parents pressed to offer their kids a loan. If you're not comfortable making the loan, one thing I do encourage is be open with your family about your financial situation. And this could also be a good time to discuss your money philosophies.
So, Jim, I think this is where you come in and can be a big help because you're always looking at a bigger picture. So how do you, as a financial planner, become involved in these types of situations?
You know, often it starts with a phone call. A client calls to take out some money, and we talk about what they're looking to buy. And it turns out one of the kids is called, asking if they could have some money to buy a new vehicle. You just want to help out the kids. Okay. And a few months before that, she had sold her place, and one of the other kids had asked if they could borrow money so that they could buy a place of their own.
In the animal kingdom, don't sharks come by when they sense blood in the water?
You know, we've seen a number of situations this year where parents have downsized their homes and bought smaller places. They want to do something with some of the money left over to help out their kids. They're looking to understand their options, such as should they lend the money? Should they make a gift of it? And what happens if their kid's common law relationship or marriage fails? Then what happens to their money? What do I do if I'm helping out one of the kids and maybe not the others?
Oh, you've raised a lot of great questions here. Maybe we could have a closer look at some of them.
I'd be happy to do that. But the first thing I want to point out is that each situation can be unique, and often we need to look at several factors before we can come up with a strategy that makes sense. Please consult a financial planner before you act on any of these.
And we've got our expert here. If you happen to have any questions about this topic, please give Jim a call, 604-682-5431. So let's look at the first question that you raised, Jim. Should you lend the money to a family member or make a gift of it?
Before asking this question, a strong place to start is, can you afford it? Can you do without the income that the borrowed money might add to your current cash flow? How about in the future? Will it be money you might need to support your future standard of living? If so, you might want to rethink the idea of a gift or a loan. A written financial plan can help make those options clearer. But if you can't afford it, of course, we're back to the first question.
Which is better, lending the money or handing it over as a gift?
Lending money should be written as a loan. Terms of repayment, the interest to be charged, okay? Can the person who's lending the money or borrowing the money afford to make the payments? Many parents we work with like to lend the money and ask for token annual payments just in case the child's marriage or relationship falls apart. Then they can make a claim and protect their funds.
So what are some of the other downsides?
Well, you might have to declare the interest you receive on the loan. And if the loan goes in arrears, how would you feel about trying to collect it back? From an estate planning perspective, do you want the loan collected or forgiven if you were to pass away? Either way, you might want to put something in your will.
Jim, you mentioned problems could arise if you're helping out one of the kids and not the other kids in the family. So what sorts of considerations go into this problem when you're helping clients explore what their options might be?
This is a great example of how people have a financial issue and they're looking for solutions to their situation. And the answers are highly personalized. For some families, fairness is a big issue. For other families, by their nature, are secretive. Each requires an entirely different approach. And we see a lot of both of these examples when we're working with family businesses.
Oh, that's right. I remember now you're a graduate of the UBC Sauder School of Business Family Enterprise Advisor Program. You have a lot of experience here.
Every week, we meet with clients who share their concerns about making their investments work efficiently for them. They're anxious about their kids' financial well-being or really don't like all the financial responsibilities on their shoulders. By using our financial planning process, we're able to help identify strategies that provide two types of benefits treasury: financial and quality of life benefits, like comfort, peace of mind, confidence, excitement, and fulfillment. These generate enormous values for the solutions we propose.
Jim, this has all been very insightful, and I really like the idea of a benefits treasury. For many, the holidays are a time of spending choices, but make sure that your choices don't leave you with a financial hangover for the upcoming year. It's a really good reminder that financial habits, as much as investment performance, can actually determine your financial successes in life. So if you happen to be facing the questions about anything you might have a question about your retirement planning, or you're curious about getting more planning advice or even a second opinion about your current situation, I will encourage you to give Jim a call. You are listening to Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today, we're speaking with JimDoyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group. And to learn how Jim can actually help with all your questions you have and give some financial advice, call him at 604-682-5431 or send him an email, jim.doyle@investorsgroup.com. And we're about to chat about Boomer retirement preparedness. There's a lot more to consider than you might think. That's all coming up next on Boomer Life on CL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.